Hello, I'm Blackbright, as you know, and I'm doing a series of interviews of Luton influencers and what I call social entrepreneurs. And today I have Saundra Glenn. Saundra Glenn is from Luton, and she's one of the first people I met when I moved to Luton in 2000. And I met her, I think, about a few years after I moved in. And this lady was instrumental in me setting up my what do they call them? CIC, Community Interest Company. She also helped me promote my magazine. And she's been soldiering on regardless, helping the community, working on social enterprises. And I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to come to Luton?
Oh, I'm born here.
Oh, you're born here?
I'm born in Selborne Road so I came here as a little twinkle in my parents' eye. So yeah, I'm the first out of three born here, four children in total.
Okay, and do you know why your parents ended up in Luton as opposed to any other part of the world?
I think in those days it was the word of mouth. It was the global, the grapevine speaking about where it would be good to set up home, have children. At that point, they already had my older sister. She was born in Croydon, and they decided to leave Croydon,
Okay.
which was up and coming at the time. They left Croydon to move to Luton. I think there's also the talk of the Vauxhall and the opportunities. But my dad never worked in the mainstream. He worked for himself as a builder, and he had his own business cards and things. So he could have gone anywhere, but he chose Luton.
Okay, your email address, Saundra for Social Good, says it all. Why did you choose that?
First of all, it was a play on the SG, and also my hashtag is always social good on various things, and I have Twitter and Instagram, Facebook as social good number 4 social good. So that's why I decided to go with the email address. And whenever I have got domains. I have bought the internet domains for some of these, but whenever you do the email addresses, somehow you keep losing them, or you lose if you don't renew in time or something.
Yeah.
So I decided to just go with the generic for email, but keep the domains as well.
Okay. Yeah. And you're an integral part of Luton community and the go-to person, like I said, for social enterprise, community projects, equality issues, and all kinds of support. Tell us a little bit about what you do for social enterprises.
I'll say I'm one of the go-to.
One of the go-to. Yeah, I'm sure there's one of many, but I'm interviewing you today, so you're the key person.
I like to sort of help people, and in 2000, before, when I first started working with a charity in London in 1998, I made the conscious decision to leave the for-profit for the non-profit. And that's because working in America, working in New York, I saw a lot of obsessive greed, and my family have never really been materialistic. My father was always saying all things in moderation, all things in moderation. So that was ingrained into my brain. We were raised without television, so we didn't have that indoctrination from mass media about the films you saw with the families in those days and how they lived. We had our own way of being, and I have to thank my parents for that. They're both deceased now, but they were unique in that they raised us without TV, with lots of books and with lots of creativity at home, and helping people. My mum and dad were the local go-to people to get help. My mum had her Reader's Digest health book, the law books, all these books on the table. So people come by and say, Mrs. Glenn, they never called her Hyacinth. They said, Mrs. Glenn, so-and-so got this wrong with them. What do you think? Do you know what it is? And she said, well, just let me make you a cup of tea and there's a bit of soup on. She'd say, have some soup. And then she would look with the books and they'd work out what was wrong. And then they went to the doctor.
So you said you spent some time in America. How long did you spend there and what were you doing?
I spent almost a decade in America, and I went there to mainly see my family, my mum's family. There's a lot of Kinglocks over there, but I didn't go to stay, but they gave me an indefinite green card. Okay. So I thought I was going on a 6-month being a stenographer, shorthand, because I was 130 words a minute, which younger people understand that. But I had fast shorthand in those days, so I could do the court reporting, the legal work, all of that sort of thing. So I went over there just to be one of those. There was a shortage of people with shorthand called stenography in America at that time. They allowed 60 British women a year to go through, and Blue Arrow had the contract. So when they processed my paperwork, it took 2 years to go. And at the 11th hour, I was leaving a very good job to go. But I decided, since it was a lifelong dream from the time I was in my early teens, I thought, let me do it. Well, my mum literally had to push me out the door on the day, though. When the day came for the ticket and the plane, it was hard to get me to go out the door. But I went, and it was mostly because I wanted to see family. We called everybody cousin in those days, and we called people auntie and uncle. Anybody from any Caribbean island, because my family had family friends from all the different islands, not just Jamaica. And basically, they were auntie and uncle and cousins, but they weren't your real blood relatives. So I went over there and I met my real blood relatives, my mum's sisters.
Wow,
and
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed the experience?
It was immeasurable. I learned a lot about myself. That's probably why I'm single and without children, because I changed there.
Okay.
If I'd remained in England, I think I'd have gone with that normal, what was expected of me.
Yes. Yeah.
Over there, you could be yourself. You could choose your pathway, and you could be a non-conformist. Yeah. And I became a non-conformist.
So we have that in common, because I spent 10 years in America, and I didn't realise who I was until I went there, because you don't have any of that. Like you said, you don't have to conform. You can actually be yourself, and people accept you as yourself. Right. So I totally understand.
Yeah, sure.
So that's you. You're a little globetrotter.
Well, yes, I did 20 years in London as well, because before I went off to America, I was working from age 19. I went to America at 26, and when I came back, I continued working in London from 95 until 2002. And then in between, after that, working for my own company, I did a lot of work in London as well. So at first, being back in Luton, I'd say from 2004 onwards, as my stable place to work and live, I wasn't accepted by a lot of the black community at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, treated like you would have been as a foreigner.
Come to Luton.
You think I'm born in Selborne Road, people? You can't get more Luton than being born in Selborne Road. And then raised in Orchard Way. 45 years in the same home.
Wow.
We were fortunate enough and not fortunate, because it was because of my father's death that we were mortgage free from 83.
Wow.
From 1983, not to have a mortgage as a black family, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, it is
huge
thing. That's fantastic.
With a nice 3-bedroom house in Orchard Way, it was number one, and it's still there today. And it was a lovely place to grow up.
Do you have a sense of nostalgia when you pass there?
I do. I said they don't look after the lawns.
Oh.
My mum would be upset with the front garden. They cut down her beautiful rose bushes.
Oh.
People just dig it all up now for
it's just a different taste.
We had a 3-car drive at the side of the house, which was always there. So you don't need to dig up anymore, but people somehow still find a way to dig it all up.
Yeah, they want low maintenance these days.
Right.
So what does Luton mean to you?
The minute I'm on the motorway or in a plane touching down at Heathrow, say, the minute I'm on the motorway coming down towards Junction 10, I feel that sense of peace and home. I'm home. And that's never left me. No matter where I've lived in London, I've lived in America, and I've come back, and whenever I come around that corner that you're just turning off to make that exit there, I feel like I'm home and all is well, and I get that happy feeling. Okay. Maybe because my mother was here for so long, she never left. I just get that feeling that I'm home and all is well with the world until you get out the car.
That's a different thing.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood and adolescent life and early adulthood that shaped who Saundra Glenn is today.
Right, well, I was saying this the other day. My parents were of the Windrush generation, so they met other people who were like-minded, but my mother flew here from Jamaica, which was not typical. Right. So when you say that she flew here, immediately you know there's somebody in the family with money.
Yeah. My mother always insists that she flew. She didn't come on the boat.
Right. So there we go. We've got a shared story there.
Yeah, we do.
Our mums flew. My dad came on a ship with your dad.
Yeah.
All right. So my dad followed my mother for love, which is a lovely story. But it was forbidden love.
Okay.
Her family were against.
Okay.
And so there was that little bit of forbidden fruit going on throughout all of my childhood in the back. Because they shared this enduring love story. But my dad was romantic.
Okay.
He would come home with roses, like chocolates, a bit of brandy.
So nice.
He was romantic. So I thought all men were going to be like that.
Were you surprised?
Unfortunately, yeah.
You still find a few
my
like
mum
that,
wore
though.
these beautiful negligees,
Oh,
sweeping down to the floor. And Janet Vega in the night. She wore very glamorous things. She wore Pierre Cardin, ballet.
Oh, wow.
People who knew her called her posh.
Oh, wow.
They said, "You got a posh mum. You're a posh family." I got chided at school and mocked more for having a posh mum than I did for being a black woman.
Wow.
Black child. Yeah. I got called names occasionally, but not that often. So we weren't actually. We didn't get that racial abuse in Lee Grave Infant and Lee Grave Junior School, although my sister Carol was the first black child and I was the second.
Oh, wow.
And we could go down the end of Orchard Way without crossing any roads into the gate and to Strangers Way. And the infants was first. It's now an adult learning centre or something. When you went across the road for the junior school. So when you were 7, you felt very big and grown up. But it was a safe childhood. You didn't have to worry about paedophiles. We didn't have to worry about being snatched on the way to school. You met your friends, or you had the bike clubs, you know. You were on your bikes and you'd go for miles from home, as long as you knew to be back in time for dinner. And you had little timers watch on, and you'd tell the time on that and get yourself back home in time. Mum said to be home by 5 o'clock, you know. I was a stickler. I'd be one saying, "Come on, we've got to go home, it's 5 o'clock." And they'd be like,
is that probably why you don't wear a watch now? So you've changed it.
Your phone is your watch.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that shaped you, that kind of upbringing, it shaped you who you are
the
today,
neighbourhood.
then.
The neighbourhood grew us. It didn't matter if the parents were black, white, pink or blue. They kind of knew what was expected of us as children. So they'd be like, "Ooh, your dad wouldn't expect you to be doing that, Saundra Glenn." So you're like, "Oh, how do you know my name?" "We know your father, you know."
Yeah.
So you were well, even if you went down to Hockrell Ring and around, people kind of, the grapevine knew there was someone in that street who was like, "Why are you children so far from home? Get back up to your end," you know. And that's the kind of childhood. It was it's very different. Very different.
So, what is your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge? Now, for me, it's mobility, because unfortunately I broke my tibia and dislocated it.
Oh, how did you do that?
I was in a building and I fell over, and basically a few years back, and that's ongoing. The biggest challenge is getting over from that. Not knowing.
How long ago did that happen?
That was 5.5 years now.
Okay.
So the different problems with the people and the paperwork to gain some access to compensation.
Was it their fault? Was it
because it was a business? It was a business premises at the time.
Oh, I see.
Unfortunately, people moving on and forgetting you. People who meant to be there for me at the time forgetting you, not doing the right thing, although their businesses are still moving and thriving when I tried to help them. So obstacles are not letting myself get down from that.
Okay.
Just focusing on getting on. And I'm not bitter because I've been left unable to wear any kind of high heel. I can't even wear 1-inch heel. It's got to be strictly wedge.
Okay.
That's big for a woman. Yeah. And so for the first couple of years, I didn't do anything with myself. You kind of just lost the will to make any effort. And then after that, I picked myself up and started putting on some of my clothes that I had to look nicer, making more effort. You won't see me.
How did you do? What happened on that day that you decided, look, Sandra Glenn, I've got to get over this challenge and change my outlook?
It was around the time of the year before my 60th birthday. I realised that my mum wouldn't expect this of me. She was very feminine, and that I needed to do better. You can't just live your life waiting to make that change. In terms of, I was waiting to see if I could get out of a certain situation, move on, and then make the change and start living my old life.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? My old life needs to be defining, because number one, I wear trousers a lot now. I cover my legs. So I said, I need to just find a way to feel glamorous at times in the clothes I've got.
Like you're looking glamorous today in your Supremes hairstyle and Your sparkly top.
All for her, all for her. I don't look this normal at home, this glamorous at home, guys.
Yeah, that's
I made an effort
Oh,
for
that's
this
wonderful.
show. Yeah.
So that was your biggest challenge.
That was the biggest challenge. Is I didn't let the leg and the having to have the walking aid, and I decided to say no to corrective surgery.
Okay.
They've offered me corrective surgery to make my leg less stiff, but because I can walk now, and it took 1.5 years, I didn't want to go back to that.
Okay.
Because you'd have to start again, more or less. And they might then, I could wake up and they're telling me, oh, you've got to have another year of learning. And I couldn't take that. No.
Okay.
So I thought I'd rather. And what with coronavirus now, it's definitely off the cards for me to go back into hospital just to have something where I can actually move around at the moment.
I remember when my mother went into hospital and she had to have her leg amputated.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because she went for knee surgery, actually, and something went in it and her leg turned black.
Oh, no.
And she was in so much pain. But when they amputated her leg, she said it was the best thing she ever did.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing is that she called it Stumpy and she made a joke out of it. And she was so happy. And, I was thinking to myself, I would be totally devastated. And it's amazing the coping mechanisms that people have, to change things around.
Yeah, sure.
So who is Saundra Glenn and what do you want to be known for most of all?
Oh, well, I am an entrepreneur, businesswoman, mother now because I have taken in a young man.
Oh, you've adopted, have you?
No. I just helped a young man get through a life challenge
for
3 years.
Okay.
So I'm taking him. Someone say, you don't know what it's like, you're not a mother. But they've forgotten that over the years I've looked after several children.
But nobody comes with a manual.
No,
do they?
I know.
You don't have to be a mother to know how to look after a child. All you need to do is have love and compassion.
That's right. And there's some mothers who are not good mothers.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen that firsthand with the work that I've been doing to help fathers see their children. I've helped 7 fathers, and so I've given time and to thinking that my life has been blessed. It hasn't been a picnic, but it's been blessed along the way because I've had opportunity to do things that a lot of ordinary people, particularly someone from Luton, wouldn't have had a chance to do. It started out saying when I went to Barnfield College, and I did all my examinations at the time in humanities and business, and a diploma in being a secretarial diploma. I forget what it was, executive secretarial diploma, they called it at the time. And I ended up with all these different certificates and things. I ended up as top 4% of the country for my grades.
Oh, wow.
And I said that was quite an amazing achievement. So I did feel very proud. And I didn't know what to do with my life at that stage. And my mum said, well, you can take your time, darling, because my younger sister's gone into traineeship with Lloyds Bank. My older sister was in the library, or she was married at the time anyway. And the younger one was still in school. So I was the one that had a little bit more of a leeway being in the middle, a middle child. And basically I then decided to follow my younger sister to London so my very first experiences of work, apart from my Saturday job at Littlewoods, was going straight into London.
Okay.
And I got picked up by some very good corporate companies, EMI Leisure.
Oh, wow.
I worked for the British Leylands, where I went up into the chairman's suite, gained a promotion. I will tell you one story about this promotion. Back in the 80s, early 80s, when I went for this promotion, I was like 20, 21 years old. They asked me how I would address Michael Edwards. How would I address him if they give me the promotion into his executive suite? And I said, well, as any ordinary man. And they said, yes, but how will you address him? I said, are you trying to ask if I would use patois? Because I don't actually know a lot of patois. I said, it's not something we speak at home. I said, but yeah, I'm just giving you this is me. This is the only voice I've got. And I would say, good morning, Sir Michael. But I said, oh, okay. So that was my first experience of racism, really.
Oh, okay.
That's racism. It's racist to ask me how I'm going to address somebody that I'm going to come out with. Hey up, Sir Michael, man. How you doing? Hey up. I should do my auntie gave me a lot of pats when I was in America. But until that point, my mum and dad were, when in Rome, do as the Romans.
But do you think
Might
that's
be a
what he?
mistake.
Do you think that's what he meant, or do you think, like some people, depending on the level, you might have to say Sir Michael or Michael or Mr. Smith or honorary whoever?
No, when I went into that suite, it was obvious that I was the first person of colour to ever work in the executive offices of a British public listed company run by the government at the time, with all the Jaguars and the Land Rover and the Range Rover marks and the Leyland truck. Everything was there. And they were like, how are we going to see this black woman fitted into the suite? Is she the same as us?
How long did you stay there for?
I stayed there for about 3 or 4 years, and I learnt to be a trainee company secretary.
Oh, wow.
And they sent me to one day release at the London Polytechnic on Regent Street. And I learnt to do the bears and the bulls and trading, and to understand all the registration of the marks, which is the labels and the different signs that held the car, like the Porsche sign. But the marks for the Jaguar would be all the insignias and the emblems, and trademarking and patenting, all of that. Very, very interesting work. And then I decided to tell them I'm going to America with Blue Arrow. And they said, but why would you do that? Why would you give up the chance to be Britain's first company secretary? They meant of colour.
Yeah.
And you could run a large company one day. And I said, oh, I'm so young. I've got plenty of time to do that when I come back. Because you have a really good pension, Saundra, too. I said, I'm 20. Do you know what? I'm kicking myself now.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'd
have been driven around the country in a Jaguar, for God's sake. With a secretary of my own. I had an assistant, not at Richard Lane. I had an assistant at Arab. And so I then asked, they were then going to be moving from the head office in Portman Square. We were in Portman Square, guys.
Wow.
And my company luncheon was at the Cumberland Hotel.
Wow.
For £3 to £5 a day.
Wow.
Yes, we got these, and we got certain vouchers we could use for the lunch at the company. So I didn't have to pay for it even. So my mum would come up once in a while and have lovely lunches with me and my sisters and so on at the Cumberland, a 3-course lunch served by waiting staff.
Oh, and you left there to go to America for this.
There you go.
You had the life experience.
Well, no, I left the British Lane because they were moving to Uxbridge.
Oh,
and
okay.
I said, and I wasn't yet ready. The paperwork wasn't yet ready for me to go to America. So I went off to Ovar. I was headhunted.
Okay.
The one thing that happened, and I said, this is a girl from Luton who would get several firms each month calling up to see if I wanted to leave my job.
Wow.
Well, can you imagine? Those were the days.
They were.
People were headhunted. Different agencies would call up and say, Saundra Glenn. I said, yeah. Well, and your landline would go in those days. It wasn't a mobile phone, guys. And your computer looked like a fridge, yeah? Looked like a mini fridge on your desk. It's a huge thing. And because I was using Wang or the other one.
I remember that.
There was word processors, they were called. Word processors. Look those up. They were huge. And basically, all of a sudden the phone would go and it'd be a little switchboard beside me and there'd be my line. And he would say, is that you, Saundra Glenn? We're looking for someone. We'd like to offer you the chance to be put forward for a company that's looking for you. And they're seeking to hire you. And they've asked us to reach out to you. And I said, oh my goodness, more money, more perks. And I just kept saying, well, no, I'm actually going to, I'm going to America, so I don't want a career prospect this time. Then one phone call came through and it was for Arab. It's a consultant engineering company, Arab Economics. You might see the name Arab around the place. Now, Arab were consultant engineers working on irrigation projects in Africa, Sydney Opera House, huge building and big builds, bridges, roads, all kinds of infrastructure you could think of across the world. Now, I was attracted to Arab because my boss, the boss that I was going to work for there, he was involved in lots of irrigation and water projects in Africa. And probably where my consciousness about the third world and supporting a social good agenda started, in all honesty, because I worked for a really great man called Mark Bostock, who I think is still there today. And Mark was a very socially conscious, but and a good boss, yeah. So my last job before leaving to go to America was with Arab, and I had my own assistant there. Yeah,
la-di-da, la-di-bloody-da.
So people were like, why did you leave to go to America when you had your own assistant? And that was heady for a girl, 21 years old at that time. And in the West End, working on Fitzroy Street, I think it was just off of Warren Street there, just around the corner from the station. There's still a large row of buildings owned by Ove Arup. Ove Arup was Sir Ove. He was a Dutchman.
How do you spell that?
OVE, then Arup, ARUP.
Oh, okay.
Sir Ove was a Dutchman who'd come to England and established his business, and he had an annual event in the grounds of his home.
Okay.
Where he invited us all the staff were invited, and we had to wear, the girls had to wear summer frocks, and the gents wore the straw boater and the blazers.
Wow.
Then when you got there, the staff would give you this big wicker hamper of food, champagne, strawberries and cream, and there'd be music and entertainment, and you got blankets to sit on the grounds and have picnic. Those were the days. I don't know whether
you've lived your life, girl.
In those days, my bosses at Richard Leyland's and at Ove gave me a birthday gift such as a gold bracelet. I got a carriage clock, personal white carriage clocks. I got.
Did you get bonuses?
Bonuses. You get paid bonuses. I was given a bottle of wine for my 21st by my boss. That was a 1959 red wine.
You remember?
Yes, yeah.
The Chardonnay.
He gave me Chateau Lafite or something. Well, no, it wasn't Lafite, but it was a very expensive vintage bottle of wine, and the vintage was 1959. That's special.
Wow.
That's your boss in those days, guys. You with all your vouchers from Argos and so on.
I know, 20 quid.
You don't know. You don't know how it was to be working in the some of us working in the late 70s, early 80s, and being treated really, really well, even in New York. Yeah.
I know. I remember, like, even our parents, they had gold watches at the end of their retirement.
Right.
All sorts.
I think you still get gold watch after 25 years. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, my friend just got it for in investment banking. She got a gold watch, and they gave her a cruise.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's good. That's recently.
She's done 50 years now, though.
Oh wow!
50 years with the same firm. She started when she was 16.
Wow!
And she's still working.
Amazing.
Yeah, still working.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, you've had a very full and wonderful life. Do you have any regrets?
No, I mean, I went to America very quickly. I learnt to trade soya beans. I did lots of diverse jobs. I went to America, and I think I took
trading places.
Well, there you go. I may have. I didn't end up on the street with Eddie Murphy, trading roles. I've been fortunate not to have had to really suffer much in terms of. I've made some bad decisions, but I haven't had to suffer because of the consequences of those decisions. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of social good paid towards me. And I believe in that phrase, paying it forward. If you put stuff into life, if you sow some of those seeds, particularly of goodness, of kindness, then you get some of those coming back to you. And I am living proof that that's what happens, because although some things have happened to me, but I haven't thrived and I haven't been able to get myself together, I haven't felt the worst effects of that because of the people that have come to help me at those times. Even now, I have somebody. I have Pedder, bless you, Pedder, an old man of 77 who's got leukemia. I live with leukemia, but he knocks on the door or rings me every day to see if I need something. Every single day.
So nice.
And he brings me around my favourite apple pies from the Irish deli, or a piece of lamb chops, or something. I've got a Cumberland. I've never had a rubbish sausage. I've had only 90%. Yeah, I know a lot of people that eat pork, but I do like
sausage every now and then.
99% pure meat. Jerry Taylor's. Sorry, Jerry, I got to mention you. Good Lutonian Irish business. Irish business. But basically, those people are the ones that keep your life going and ticking over. And some of obviously not just one nationality. I get love and support from our own, the Black community, from members of the Asian Muslim community, but an Indian community, my corner shop, everywhere.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, everywhere.
Tell us a little bit about what you do with equality issues.
Oh, I'm passionate about the glass ceiling and about us being kept further back. The one thing I dislike about being in Luton, yeah, it makes me sad really, is that I've come back to a diminishing black presence. When I was growing up, we had the West Indian Association, a West Indian Association, not the one we got now, which is called Wicker. It was very dominant, and the black elders, you could see them in all their glory and in their finery, in their suits, meeting for a problem. And they'd come round occasionally to see my father. They'd be in our front room, where we didn't go much as children. You see them in the front room having their meetings and talking and discussing. And at one point, we could hear them singing, "We Shall Overcome." I now heard from my sisters that this was Martin Luther King had died.
Oh,
He'd been killed.
okay.
He'd been killed. And then in Kennedy too. They did it for Kennedy. They felt the loss of Kennedy.
Yeah, I know a lot of black people felt
Because
the
he
loss
was
of
a
Kennedy.
civil rights symbol. He was supporting the cause and trying to better black people. That's probably why he was killed. But basically, those days where we had a very strong black presence which could take an issue to the council and deal with it on our behalf and try to solve it without us having to have that trauma from it, seemed to be over, because now we don't have that. Now we don't get the respect. They got respected. They got listened to. They had some sort of internal power.
So what do you do with regard to equality issues then?
I try to challenge them in my own way, which rubs out the backs of the establishment, I feel, and doesn't get you respected, gets you talked about in unfavourable ways. I feel. You got to remember, as a woman who was, I had 16 years of volunteering with the police, 16 years of being 10 years of being at the chair of an advisory group with the police, which would normally, with my knowledge and the amount of my contribution to improving policing, which also included equality and helped to gain some promotions for some police who've moved on and forgotten. They no longer look back to even mention how they got their promotions and things, made it easier for them to do their job. Because there is racism within all the police. There's institutional racism.
Did you know, sorry to cut you, but did you know that they were looking for somebody to replace Montel on the panel for stop and search?
No, but that wouldn't be me.
It wouldn't be you, okay.
No, I feel in Luton that time has moved on for me.
Okay.
I would do it. I have been trying to contribute differently, and I will continue to contribute in my own way. But when you shouldn't only gain respect when you're in that arena.
I know, that's a sad thing.
And as a black woman,
you
remember, if I'd been a white male, perhaps stepping away from that arena, and now no longer in that role, I would still have been useful to a lot of people who had come to look for me, would have supported me, would have put me forward for certain things to do in life, because that's how these things sometimes work. Someone mentioned to me, I get left off of every list going because I'm going to come back with an issue or going to raise their consciousness about the lack of black support, black representation,
so
black
you're a thorn
engagement.
in their side, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
We haven't got enough black people at these events. Civic events and civil events in Luton are lacking the black presence. I don't have to be there. Why can't you invite Myrna then? Why don't you invite some of our people to be there? We've lost people like that councillor unfortunately passed away, the former mayor, Norwich. Bullock. Norris Bullock. Yeah. We've lost a lot of people. The lot have passed away, and yet you're not replacing the ones that have gone. So when you look at these events, and we look out at the Remembrance Sundays, or we look out at the other civic and civil events where you have coming together and you invite them aside, there's no one black there. There's too few black there, or there's the ones that are just invited in once in a while when you feel like it to make up the numbers. It feels like tokenism to us. It is not acceptable. If Luton Council was to hear anything at all, it's that this has to change. And if you don't listen to me saying it, it's going to come from the youngers. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell you, and they're going to tell you in a more brutal way, and they're going to make change because they're going to force you to change. They're going to force it. And that's the only thing I can be grateful for, is that there's lots of young voices out there who are not taking things lightly.
Yeah.
And you know who you are. And please,
Pick up your mate.
yeah. Please, I applaud you, because things have to change. They do. So equality means to me having a more level playing field where, you know, the picture where everybody's standing on the bottom step and the black person can't see over the wall, but the white person can, and the Asian can with a peep in, but the black person is under the wall.
Yeah.
That means you have to give them the steps.
Yeah.
You need to give us the steps to be the same as everybody else. And that over the years, 30 odd years or more, that I have not been around in England, because I was in London and working away in America. The time I've come back, you've eroded our representation, our contribution, and our engagement. So unless you bring us into the business meetings, we're not there. We're not in the mayor's business breakfast. You leave us out. Yet we've got successful black businesses in Luton. We've got property companies. We've got a TV company, a major guy. We've got small entrepreneurs, micro businesses, and you leave them all out of that essential empowerment, engagement, and where you buy contracts, business meetings. You leave us out, and that's not fair.
Okay, well, thank you for that passionate disclosure.
I am passionate.
So what do you want to be known for most of all?
It's a big thing. Back in the late 90s, I was with the Black MBA and the charity at the time called African Caribbean Finance Forum. And we created a fair to help young people of colour with a 2-2 get into the FTSE 100. And that was a groundbreaking fair that went on for 3 or 4 years. 3 years under my tenure, where I grew it and grew it, and the momentum grew, and it started to create people who today are still in those jobs with JP Morgans and the Goldman Sachs, and they are breaking the glass ceiling.
Okay.
I'd like to be known as someone who helped to crack the glass ceiling.
Oh, brilliant.
Helped to create that different future for tomorrow, where you can get your child can get in a young family near my old neighbourhood in Luton, where I grew up in Orchard Way. I helped a son who was frustrated in school at one point to take an entrance exam for private school, and he then after that got into a boys' school, Slubious Boys' School in Hertfordshire, and then he went on to be in investment bank.
Okay.
And basically, his mum said it's all about the network. And access to the networks to get you those opportunities.
Yeah.
And she said, I want to thank you because my son is now doing really, really well with a very well-known investment bank. And I said, that's all I need. That's all you need, isn't it?
Yes.
To hear that you've made that difference is just I've done that to several people. There's so many different stories out there that I don't hear back from all of them. But for me, the joy is just knowing that I passed on my
Okay.
And that's what my parents did for me.
Okay.
So when people see that and feel that I had those opportunities from my own parents, they're the ones that would write the letters. My sister said our parents wrote the letter but got her traineeship at the bank. They wrote to the Bank of England as well. I said, how? I couldn't remember that. They wrote to the banks and got her a job. Wow. I said, that's proactiveness from black parenting in the 1970s. Who said that people didn't get through those doors? Yeah, we did, didn't we?
We did get through those doors. So what would you like to say for anybody who's discouraged or who's feeling demoted about this current situation? What kind of words would you like to tell them?
If you're feeling demotivated, I'm going to say don't give up. My mum used to say, try, and try again. You know, that's like, you think it's a cycle of trying, but it also involves feeling good about yourself, being mentally well and upbeat. Try and look at those things and those foods and those anything that can help to make you feel mentally more happy and more well, so you can then make that effort to try again. Because you can't try, as they said, an empty glass can't fill itself. You've got to take it to the tap. An empty well can't pour water. You can't get a bucket up. As the same with you. And if you become empty, you can't just fill yourself up. but you can actually keep putting those things into yourself to make yourself feel better, and then you're able to try a little bit harder. And I say the same thing to myself some mornings when I don't feel like I can do anything. I'm like, just give it that extra effort. Have some tea. I had her tea. I've got to come back to tea. That's soul and ginger tea. Have something that's going to help you feel the extra bit of well-being, and then talk to people. Keep talking, and then don't close off yourself and close off that door. Just keep talking and reach out for help if you need to, because we, unfortunately, particularly in the Black community, we're really bad at asking for help until it's too late. But just keep talking and keep asking for help.
So do you have any affirmations that you say to yourself that you'd like to share?
Affirmations. Affirmation. Mostly I hear my mum in my head.
I do.
Yeah,
she was a big influence.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was. She's like she believed in me.
Okay.
In a big way, and my affirmations are more about her voice when I hear her say, "Come on, darling, you can do it. You could do anything." She made me feel like I could do anything I put my mind to, which wasn't true.
Okay.
But she was such a big believer in me that she was my cheering section. And yeah, don't take the adoration from a parent for granted. If you've got it now, then please cherish it. Because if it's not there, you do miss it. Yeah. So
I assume there's nothing that I've left out that you would like to share, or you're absolutely fine. I'm just
talking to you. Thank you for the pleasure of being here. Such an honour to be asked. Thank you, man. That was Lady Loy, and just all the people out there. I've helped quite a few set up social enterprises. And something that I may have done to help you get through your life, a small amount of information towards a grant or something that's happened where I put quite a few people up for awards of recognition in the last few years. If I've done something to help you in some small way, please pay it forward.
Yeah.
Try and help the next person, and let them feel that benefit of that extra little bit of support, because I've never charged anybody. I've got on with it with free, unwavering support because I wanted to pay it forward and give something back. Sometimes it felt like a thankless task for some people. You don't always. It's not always going to be the outcome you felt it was going to be. I've learnt that, and maybe I should have cut off some people sooner than I did it in life. I've got to be honest. I may have given the wrong levels of support and the wrong levels of unlimited support, which is a good couple of years of my life in terms of support to the wrong people.
Yeah, but we learn though, and like you said, it will come back to you.
Yeah.
So thank you, Saundra, for the interview. We're right on target with regard to the time. Yes, I hope you are enjoying this series, and I hope it gives you an insight to the people in Luton who I'm sure you never imagined that we had such a flourishing and entrepreneurial set of people. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.